Hey, everybody. I'm thrilled to be sharing with you what I'm sharing with you, and also in complete transparency, a little nervous because I'm giving you an inside look in the behind the scenes of my business, which I'm thrilled to do. And I'm also giving you an inside look into the journey that it actually took to create the business to be what it is today. And that means I'm blowing the lid off of everything that had to happen in order for it to come to be what it is, because this is the piece that many people aren't willing to share. And we just see the roses at the end, or the gold at the end of the rainbow, and we wonder what's wrong with us because people don't share their deepest challenges, struggles, and kind of dark souls of the night when it comes to growing their business to the level that it's growing. More than anything, my deepest intention is to shake you up a little bit so you really know the truth around growing and building your coaching business, and share my experience with it and how you can learn from my experience and hopefully cut your learning curve down in half. So let's see here. Oh, and it's freezing here in Minnesota, so I'm wearing a hat. It's -1 right now in Minnesota. Awesome. Yes, I'm not holding anything back. I'm going to share with you my exact business model today, exactly how you can create a business model using what I call an essentialism approach to business, where we get caught up, where we sabotage the ability to build a thriving coaching business, and where mistakes have been made, and the cost and the sleepless nights and the kind of tougher parts that we go through in our businesses that most people aren't willing to share. Hey, let's go ahead and dive right in. And again, we'll see how long this one might be a long one, because I do want to cover a lot of ground and I want to get it all into one place for you so that you can come back and revisit this training as often as you want. So for starters, and I'm going to try to, we're getting into nitty gritty, actual nitty gritty details and logistics for those of you that love using your analytical brains. And we're going to be in the emotional space of what's going on emotionally growing your business. And some spiritual stuff always comes up. You guys know that's the deal for these trainings. And so it's going to be like a little roller coaster ride that we're going to be on. So let's get started. So this is the business breakdown. So this is our essentialism business breakdown. So here's the thing. I just want to share with you that what I've learned and what I've witnessed and what I've experienced over the last number of years all boils down to the more simplicity and the more essentialist we can be in our businesses, the higher impact that we're able to have on our own lives as it pertains to time and money freedom, as well as the impact that we can have on other people's lives. So this is a rundown of the essentialist business that I've created that is allowing me to generate multiple 5 figures a month, definitely crossing over that $500,000 a year mark, which puts you in the top 1% of income earners, not just in the coaching industry, but in the world. So here is your breakdown. So first of all, I have one offer. There's only one offer that I have. I don't have multiple packages. There's a passive products over here, and I've had those, but no longer do I. There's passive products, and then there's leverage products, and then there's one-on-one coaching, and then there's group coaching, and then there's all these different months and all these different packages. One product, one signature program and product. Now, those of you that are newer coaches, this might take a little while for you to really uncover and unfold. But this is the simplicity of business that allows us to free up our energy to focus on the things that are going to get us results in our business. Because when doing multiple programs and products, just from an administrative standpoint, it can feel really challenging to even know how many sessions certain clients have left and how many are they supposed to have, and do they have this many or that many? So that is all ways that our business leaks. So I have one offer, and it happens to be a leveraged program that has both a basic feature and an elite feature. So what that means is my offer is our Art of Client Creation mastermind groups, where 8 to 9 people come together in mastermind. And those that so choose can step into an elite portion of that, where they get one private coaching session a month as well. So one offer, everybody funnels in the same way. And the reason why this essentialism or simplicity works so well is that then you can create systems and processes that are duplicatable, that you can outsource and or just make your job so easy. So it's the same process for every single client that says yes to one of those offers. So even though there's 2 options, the onboarding and all of the logistics behind the scenes is exactly the same. Let me tell you now, as I'm making choices about the simplicity that you want to incorporate in your business, you want to think about what are the key values that you hold really close, and how can you align what you're creating in your business to those values, right? So for me, creating this offer there were two big values that I'm honoring with this particular offer. One, it's a leveraged program, so that honors my value of freedom. That means that my delivery of my services takes less time and gives me more freedom in my life. Two, the other thing that I really value based on some experiences that I've had in investing in multiple mentors is that whatever I'm offering, I want it to be high touch, meaning I want to be able to have my hands, my heart, my brain on my client's business. I don't want it to be cookie cutter. I want it to be customized, and I want it to be high touch. So those were the two values that determined how I wanted to create my one signature offer. Amber, yes, best thing you did with your nutrition business, one offer only. Yes. Oh, it just simplifies everything. And just think about how much time you end up saving if you just choose that one offer. And again, I don't want to go like down a rabbit hole here, but if it doesn't align, if that's the offer that you know you love to deliver, and that's the offer that honors your values and the life that you want to create for yourself, I have clients still who are like, you know what, I'd rather do just private with you, or I'd rather just do a couple of sessions. And there are times I make exceptions to my own rules, but generally speaking, I just don't. I know that this is the program that gets results and facilitates transformation. And I know that to be true. So why am I going to mess with what's working? If it ain't broke, don't mess with it. Okay. The other essentialism business aspect here, put my little. So one offer, one pricing structure. So again, simplicity. The prices aren't changing. So one pricing structure, there's a basic and an elite. It is this price for basic. It is this price for elite. It doesn't change. It doesn't shift. If they're like, but I only want this many sessions instead of that many sessions, or I only want that, but not this. It's no, this is the pricing structure. You choose, if you choose not to use the other pieces in it, then that's 100% your choice. This is non-negotiable. It's the one pricing structure. The third piece, and this is where it's going to get a little bit more complex, and I'm going to throw some new terminology your way. The third piece is I have one short tail marketing funnel. When I say short tail, what I mean is those people that come through this funnel, they move through it fast. So for me, and I've done trainings on this before, this is my automated webinar funnel. It's one webinar, one call to action for a strategy session at the end, an application for those sessions. I screen those sessions. If we have a call, then it's leads into the one offer, right? So it's one short tail marketing funnel. And this is the funnel that pretty much runs on autopilot. Again, because it's automated, it honors my value of freedom. And I'm going to share a little bit more with you deeply about that value and why it was so important to me. There's no amount of money my business can generate if it messes with my life and my freedom. I just like not even going there. Values freedom. And then this automated short tail marketing system that I've created also honors my values around consistency and sustainability. So I don't have to feel like these highs and these lows and these fears and these ups and these downs. Now they still come in, but it allows for consistency and sustainability. So that's the short tail marketing funnel. And the fourth component of this essentialism biz breakdown is my long tail funnel. So this group that you're in watching these videos, this is what I consider my long tail funnel. And here's the value that this group is honoring for me. This group is really tapping into my value around creativity, innovation, and self-expression. It's this whole opportunity to just show up, share, give, and being of service too, right? And so the long tail funnel is really what I consider the nurturing. So the people who go through the short tail funnel and aren't quite ready to move forward, they can come into this group and continue to get to know me, get to know my philosophies, feel if they resonate. If they don't resonate, they can take a hike. If they do, they'll stick around and consume a bunch of these videos and feel their way around before they might actually be ready to explore a deeper coaching partnership. So this is my long tail funnel. Now, real quick about this long tail funnel, this is what this long tail funnel is replacing. I don't do newsletters, back to essentialism. I don't blog. I don't do list building beyond that marketing funnel, driving to the webinar. I don't do regular social media posts. I don't do any of the things that are super time consuming. And I'll talk more about the saboteurs of our business that are super time consuming and aren't necessarily measurable. So you can see that this long tail marketing funnel meets all of those things and eliminates all of those tasks that maybe we're told to do every single week. Like I don't do that stuff every single week. So I'm going to break down exactly the time that it takes to deploy this one offer, one pricing structure, one short tail funnel, and one long tail funnel here next. But I want to check in. I want to know, how is this idea of simplicity and essentialism aligning for you in your business? Like, start thinking about, where can you shave off the excess that's not actually generating the results? Where can you simplify, automate, systemize, streamline so that you're not feeling like you're pulled in so many different directions? Awesome, Stacy. It feels so much less stressful. Exactly. Simply simplify. Love this process, much less pressure. Yes, Ashley actually is creating an awesome offline funnel. So my funnels are online, but Ashley's working on a super sweet offline funnel that it's her long tail and her short tail. So simplicity is speaking to all of you. So this is something that you're constantly wanting to assess in your business. And again, we'll be talking about how to start creating this too very soon. But is this an evolved system from the trainings you posted previously? Kind of, Terry. It's definitely evolved. So what I'm gonna do for you guys is I'm actually gonna work the whole thing backwards. So this is where it is today. And then we're gonna work it back to all of the saboteurs that had to be overcome to get there. So yes, it is evolved, and I'm pulling it all back. Yes, went nuts, exactly. Go back to simplifying, exactly. Awesome, Melissa. And Kevin, yeah, so much stuff. It's like, we're never going to run out of all the latest and greatest ideas and ways and paths. And ultimately what this boils down to in the essentialism business is choose the path, master it, step into mastery of it, focus all of your learning, your growth, your investing into the path that you choose, and then just keep moving that path forward and forget the rest. Cool. Okay. So let me break down the time freedom, like how much time. Actually, let me check with you real quick. Do you want to know exactly how I'm spending my time every single week to deploy this essentialist business that I was just talking about, the simplicity business I was just sharing? Is the time piece interesting to you? If so, say yes. Sharing time, breaking down the time, getting into the nitty gritty of how I'm spending my hours every single week to grow my business in less than 30 hours a week. Yes. Okay. So I'm seeing a couple of yeses from Stacy and Jessica and Ashley. Okay. Awesome. All right. So I got buy-in for this. So again, this might get a little nitty gritty. So I'm going to break down the time, and then I'll break down the money too. And how long on the front end to set up. Okay. Awesome, Monica. Okay. So now the yeses are really flying in. So here's how I spend my time every single week, in right around 30 hours a week. First of all, delivery of my one program, my simplified one offer, takes around 20 hours a week. And breakdown is for a 500K plus business. Okay. So this is the breakdown for 500K plus. You can adjust it, tweak it, refine it based on your own pricing structures that you set up. Just really build out the map based on what you're creating. So ultimately, even if you cut, like my pricing runs anywhere from $5,000 to $10,000. So even if you aren't at a place in your business where you're like, I can't really see myself charging that much for my services, no big deal. Even if you cut it in half, even if you cut it down to a fifth, you're still generating a six-figure business, which is amazing, and can create a phenomenal life. So just know that this model can be tweaked and adjusted, even if you're not at that place where you're into that higher end price point. So my delivery of actually working with my clients and the high touch delivery that I feel so strongly about, it runs right around 20 hours a week. So the majority of my time is spent on actual delivery. So 20 hours a week delivery. About 4 to 5 hours a week, I spend on actual enrollment conversations and sales calls. So I have 4 to 5 sessions open every single week for the people who are interested in exploring working with me. And I spend that 4 to 5 hours uncovering what's going on in their businesses and whether or not the one offer that I have feels like it might be a fit or might not be a fit. So there's some authority marketing here as well, because I'm crystal clear about who is a great fit for the one program I have, because I'm not tweaking and adjusting and kind of chameleoning, that's a word, chameleoning to the people I'm talking to. This is what I have, and either it's going to be a fit or it's not going to be a fit. And to be able to stay really detached from when it's a fit and when it's not a fit. So those sales calls are super simple. This is what I have. Either it sounds like it aligns for you and it resonates with you, or it doesn't. No big deal either way. And it's out of those sales calls that then generate the filling of this leverage program. Then on the short tail funnel, which is again, that automated marketing system that I have in place, the automated webinar, it takes me about 2 hours a week to just manage ads, to check and make sure everything's still working, to screen applications coming through in those pieces and check numbers and make sure that everything's still clicking along the way that it's set up to click along. So it's about 2 hours a week. And then the long tail marketing, which you have all started, those of you that are new to the group maybe haven't yet, but many of you have been in the group for a long time, is this piece here. It takes me about 3 hours a week to decide what's the content I feel called to share, what's the training I really feel called to do, and then setting up all of the tech for it, tagging you all who raise your hand to make sure that you know exactly where to find the training, and then actually delivering the content. So that's a total of 25, 26, 27, like 31 hours a week, right? And you can see it's super focused on the exact one pieces of my business. So I'm not spending time, and we'll talk about this, our saboteurs. I'm not consuming a bunch of information. I'm not trying to figure out what to do next. I'm not trying to, I know my activities are, where are the sales? How many sales calls do I have? How many client calls do I have and group calls do I have? How many, what do I want to, and I systemize this where typically on Mondays, I determine what I want to do the training on. I do the initial kind of 1 hour work around sharing that post with you guys in the group for the long tail. And then every single morning for my short tail funnel, I spend about 20, 25 minutes just reviewing the numbers, checking to see how things are cranking along. So this whole business model is without even an assistant right now. Now that's something that's going to be changing in my business because I want to shave off even more time and create more freedom. But I want to just share, I see so many questions about what should I hire help for? And I don't want to do these pieces. And it's like, when you simplify your business, there's so many less moving pieces that support is fantastic. And only when you absolutely want it or need it for some reason. Okay, so that's the time piece. So I just want to share a really quick story about this time piece, because when I first, and I think it's important for all of us to remember, when we chose to transition out of our previous careers, what did we want then? And I think this is so fascinating to go back to, because our ego has a tendency to get that and then want more, and then get that and then want more, and then get that and then want more. And that's been one of the challenges that I feel like I'm constantly working on keeping in check, because I can see the opportunity and I can see how it could create more impact, more money, more time, more do. And then I have one story that replays in my mind over and over again that grounds me back into what this really is all about for me. And so here's the story. And it usually makes me a little emotional, so bear with me. So when I first decided I wanted to become a coach, my only goal was to replace the income that I had at my full-time job and be able to be home with my kids in the mornings when they went to school, in the afternoons when they got home, and days that they were off school, and to be home with my family. That was the deepest intention that I'd infused my business with, was replace my revenue. We had a great, comfortable life, and be home with my family, my growing kids, who at the time when I started my business were babies, 3 and 0. Or 3 or 4 and 1. And as my business started to grow, it started getting away from me. And at one point I was just obsessed. I was so attached. I'd bought into all the marketing message I was seeing, like build a 7-figure business and and I just got sucked in, and it became all consuming. I was consuming information until I was blue in the face. I was up at all hours of the night, just trying to learn and grow and figure out how to do it. I was distracted when I was with my family. And everything that I had said I wanted seemed to have been forgotten. And it was a pivotal moment in my life. And my husband sat me down, and I was so stressed out and I was so overwhelmed. And he sat me down, and he usually doesn't say much. He lets me do my thing. But he sat me down and he said, "Hey, Stace, I just wanted to tell you, you're going to do what you want to do, but I could care less how much money you make in your business. And the thing that's most important to me is you're home. You are home. You did it, right? You did it. You are home. You are home in the mornings. You are home in the evenings. You are home. You did it. You did what you wanted to do. So if you wouldn't mind just putting this whole pie in the sky dream of building some big empire out there on hold until our kids get a little bit older, because we only have so much time." It was like this big, huge, like, slap in the face to realize, yeah. And actually this was coming up at a training this past week where we have 18 Christmases. Those of you that have kids, right? We have 18 birthdays, 18 Christmases. I know they'll come back, not even 18, 16, because by the time they turn 16, they're so independent, they could care less if you're there or not. That's it. We can count on less than our fingers and our toes how many special events we're going to celebrate together each year before things start drastically changing. So so then my question changed, and this is what actually framed up the business that it is today. My question changed to, how can I generate more revenue, impact without it costing anything to what I already have created in my life? And if it doesn't answer those questions, if it takes away from what I already have, then it is a big fat no for me. So there's that piece. Neha, you're at the 4-in-1 stage. Yes. Same goals, going nuts with all the content you subscribe to. Yes, exactly. It goes by in a blink of an eye, Louisa. And it goes by faster and faster. I keep hearing that. Now my kids are 11 and 8. So it just goes by so fast. So there's the time piece, right? And that's something that's always, you want to be really clear and go back to what you wanted when you first started your business, and then celebrate when you create that, when you replace your job income, when you create the freedom that you wanted. It's like realizing that more and more is not always the answer. And I've been down that tunnel so many times, and it still will catch me, right? Okay, so that's the time freedom breakdown and how you can create this simplistic business model and then direct your time and your efforts so that it's super laser focused on fulfilling your simplicity business model. So let's talk about the money. Let's talk about the money, the incoming and the outgoing, because I wanted to, again, tell you even like the nitty gritty of this. And then I know a lot of you have questions like, then how do you actually create this and where do you start? And that's all going to be coming up when I talk about the saboteurs, because it's even different than where do we start? It's where do we not start? And where do we not get hung up? And where do we not get pulled off track? That actually allows us to stay focused on the track. So the money piece. So just again, I'd already mentioned this, that this business model for me will generate 500K plus. If I wanted to work an extra 10 hours a week, it could generate 750K. But again, this is the choice that I'm making at this stage of my life, because it's not going to add to my life. It would only take it away. So the money piece, again, as you're launching leverage programs, even if you launch them at a fifth of what that people are investing in the programs that I'm working with, you would have a very healthy 6-figure revenue income, right? So even at a fifth, it would be, could you imagine, right? And I might be stretching some of your money limits here, but really, can you imagine charging $1,500, maybe $2,000 for 6 months of a high impact coaching program? Because this business model with even a $1,500 to $2,000 investment for 6 months of your coaching and support and service and community and even some one-on-one coaching could generate a really healthy revenue for your business. Yes. So where do we not start? So it's like knowing that you get to play with the money however you want. So for example, I know that for the time freedom, which is my number one, time freedom over even money freedom, I know that for my time freedom, running 8 groups a year allows me to work that number of hours that we just talked about. So I'll only work with 72 clients over the entire year. That's it. That's the only spots that are open based on the life, right? It's always starting with the life that you want to create. And so it's, imagine, how can you create a leverage program that then you can fill 8 times, 6 times, 10 times, however many times. So that's the money coming in on the delivery piece. The one program, one offer, one pricing. That's the money coming in. It's consistent, it's sustainable, and you know exactly where you're shooting for. Now the overhead, let me just share the overhead. To run all of this simplicity business model that I shared with you at the beginning of this call, to run all of this, the monthly investment is less than $4,000 a month. So some of you might be like, holy smokes, that's a lot of money. That's 3 times my house payment. But again, remember, this particular business model for me is generating whatever, 505 divided by 12, multiple 5 figures a month. So this is the place where our level 5 comes into play. And we realize, wow, for every dollar I'm investing in my overhead, it spits out another 20 or another 10 or another 5. I don't know about you. I haven't been able to find many banks that I can put $1 in and less than 30 days later, take $5 out, or put 100 in and take 500 out, or put 1,000 in and take 5,000 out. So it's like the realization that a part of your business is making smart investments that will give you a return on that investment, and then rinsing and repeating those returns on your investment. So the overhead boils down to $500 a month in tech tools, just to, again, that automation and that short tail funnel I was telling you about. And then I invest around $2,500 a month in Facebook advertising. Again, that's where the leads are coming from, and that's what's driving the strategy sessions, and those strategy sessions are turning into clients, right? And then the thing that I'll be adding on very soon in the next week is I've hired an assistant. So that'll be another overhead cost of about $1,000 a month for me. And that's awesome, because it's then giving me another 5 to 10 hours of my time back each week. So yeah, so it's like a balancing act, right? So when you think about your money and your time, it's really determining like what's most important to you, or where maybe even are you feeling the most fear? Is it in your losing your time or losing your money? For me, the choice always boiled down to, I would rather save myself the time, because time is our only non-renewable resource. There really is only so many hours in the day. So I'd rather save myself the time and take a loss on the money, especially in the beginning stages of my business. And I'll be talking about that in a minute. So I bought time. Like I was always buying time. And that meant cutting my learning curve down. And that meant learning the things that I had to learn in order to implement the stuff, and maybe not seeing a return right away, but knowing that over time it was going to create a return. So it's like deciding which one you want to balance, because we know that growing these businesses, and anybody who tells you anything different, takes a significant investment of time and money. And you can tip the scales one way or another, dependent on your situation and your circumstances. So my choice was to always tip the scales and really stretch far to create the time, because if I was going to learn everything myself, as opposed to invest in mentors to teach me how to do it, then one, I just know I would have thrown in the towel, because I would have been so frustrated. I never would have been able to really figure it all out with somebody showing me the path. And two, that bought me so much time. That bought me so much time for somebody to just say, do this, do that, do this, do that, and have it, as opposed to researching and studying and learning and trying to figure it out on my own. And I've tried it both ways, actually. Okay, so that's the nitty gritty. So I just want to check in before I get into the saboteurs and what not to do, and how to start taking the first steps to actually create this in your business. And actually the biggest thing I want to share with you, which is the number one thing that drives this entire thing, the engine, which is the one place that you want to focus on first. Before I get into those pieces, yes, questions, thoughts about building out and creating this simplicity business model. So Neha has one right away. Someone's just starting out. What's the best way to set revenue targets? Love this. So I highly recommend, and there's a video on this in our group too, if you did a little search for money mapping, but start by money mapping your life and really discerning what are the needs and what are the wants. So this was just coming up in one of our groups with some money fear stuff. And even in the darkest, deepest moments where I didn't know how the bills were going to get paid the next week of my business, I would always go back to this place of, I know that this is what I want. I want it to be generating 5 figures a month, or I want to be generating 5,000 a month, but what do I need to live? And so that's the first thing, is start with, what do you need to live? What are the expenses that you have? And start there as far as figuring out your revenue targets. And then go ahead and add in the wants. So this is like the bare minimum, right? To feel safe, secure, stable. And then figure out the wants piece. And then this is your wish list. This is, go for anything, like anything that comes to mind. So this is my whole money mapping process of uncovering the needs and uncovering the wants, and then coming up with the actual number that it would take to really live a fulfilled dream lifestyle. And most people, when they do this, they're actually shocked at how little that number is, because we just pull numbers out of the sky. We're like, oh, I want to have a 6-figure business because we see that number so much in advertising, or, oh, I want to have a 7-figure business. And it's, do we even know where that money would land if we created that in our business? So figure out where you want the money to land first, and then determine your revenue targets from there. Knowing that there's a scale, right? That this is the absolute, what do I need to do and want to do to create this so that our needs are fully met. And this is the living the dream life. And I can tell you, when I first did this money mapping exercise, I thought for sure, because I was seeing so many advertising and I was indoctrinated into this way of thinking, that I would have to have a 7-figure business in order to really live my dream life. I added all the numbers up. You want to know what that number was? $177,000. Now, again, everybody's at different kind of money set points here. So some of you, that might be like, shit, that's a lot of money still. And others of you might be like, really, that's it? For me, because I thought it would take 7 figures to live my dream life, to really like the ultimate dream I could ever think of. And it was like $177,000. It was like $15,000 a month. So it's like, why was I going for a 7-figure business? It wasn't going to add to my life. Everything that I wanted at that time, $15,000 a month was more than enough. Okay, so Ashley, yes. The physical sensations you feel, Ashley, the part about staying patient keeps coming up for me. Patience is a process and knowing the right clients will come. Totally. And then, yeah, that patience piece, that's one of the biggest breakthroughs that we face. My heart rate just went up. Yeah, Kevin. Yeah, money will do that in all sorts of ways when we're talking money and numbers. Okay, I'm not seeing any other questions. Perfect, Trina. So I know I can live off of $1,500 a month after taxes. I need to get to that and I'd be thrilled. Exactly. So it's like, focus on that. And here's the thing about that $1,500 a month or whatever it is for you guys when you figure out the need. And I'll be talking about this a little bit in the 7 saboteurs, is many times we think, oh, the only way I can get that is by getting clients. And then we put all this pressure on ourselves and attachment. And it's, I got to get clients or I can't pay my bills. I got to get clients. And it's, you know what? Sometimes we just have to fund our dream. That will come. And that's the patience piece that Ashley was bringing up. It's like getting clients isn't the only way to fund our dream. So sometimes that means getting a job, but it's different because the intention of the job is it's funding the dream temporarily. It's not saying I gave up on my business and I'm going back to get a job. It's simply funding the dream. So for me, I funded my dream leveraging credit. And talk about society and the messages we get about, especially credit card debt. It's perfectly okay if I were to buy a house for $100,000 more than the house I own. But man, if I have $100,000 in credit card debt, the way that we're trained and society kind of talks about this is that just makes you like completely irresponsible. Or this is the story I was telling myself: shame, guilt. But at the end of the day, and after working through all of that money stuff, that credit and building my credit score to a place that I was able to secure $100,000 in credit, that funded my dream. And it was a lot of pain in the moment, and maybe even for, I think, 3 years. But I knew it was temporary. I still knew that the bigger vision and the longer vision, that it would all be completely irrelevant when I got to the other side of it. So that's the trust and the patience and the faith piece as well, is that in the moment when I looked at my current reality at that stage of my business, in the moment, I was like, wow, this is awful. This is terrible. Who would do this? It's scary. And if I stayed in that current moment, that current reality, and only looked at my current reality, I'd still be there. But I knew my faith and my knowing of how temporary it was and what it was buying me to create for the rest of my life. When I focused on, that's what then eradicated the debt. That's what then released the debt. So it's a money set point piece. But yeah, it's fund your dream. Sometimes we think the only way we can start our business is if we get clients. And then it creates so much pressure and attachment that it makes it almost impossible to get clients. Do what you want to do to fund the dream, to move it forward, knowing that it's only temporary. And as you figure out the pieces to put in play, then this is your learning, right? This is you're paying for knowledge that can never be taken away from you. You're paying for time that you can use over and over again and replicate. But yes. Isn't that true, Kevin? It's, man, my friends, I'm like, oh my gosh, are they on the call? No, they're not in this group. Okay. My friends just built a $750,000 home, and everybody is just like celebrating. Wow, what a beautiful home they have. It's amazing. It's gorgeous. How lucky they must be. But man, when I say I had $100,000 in credit card debt, is, what's wrong with you? That's not good. What's the dang difference? What's the dang difference? It's only our mindset and what society's telling us about it, right? So I'm not saying be irresponsible, but here's what I am saying when you're funding your dream is that, and this is what I know to be true. And you guys, I'm totally on a side tangent, but this is what I know to be true. When you make investments that are coming from a place of your highest self, it always multiplies. Maybe not immediately, but it always multiplies. when you make investments from a place of fear, because I'm not enough, and if I don't have this, I'm never going to make it. When you make investments from a place of fear, it's really challenging to actually get a return on that investment. So what you're investing in is actually the energy behind the money, more so than even the thing you're investing in. That's what actually determines the return. And so the majority of the clients that come through me, and this is something that I don't want anybody coming into my programs if it's coming from a place of fear, because I know that the energetic intention that they're coming into the program with is already setting them up to struggle. So anytime you make an intention, no matter where the money's coming from, if it's funding your dream because you're getting a job, if it's funding your dream leveraging credit, if it's funding your dream leveraging a home equity loan, doesn't matter where it's coming from, you can be assured that when you put your money in the direction of an intention that's aligned with your highest self, it plants a seed and it always multiplies and it always grows. Okay. Let me see. Al, awesome on focusing on your personal financial goals. Stop focusing on competing to make what others are making. Takes a lot of stress away. No kidding, right? Who cares? For some people, and again, it's releasing the judgment. It's okay. If you guys do this money mapping and you determine that your business, you want to generate 2 million, awesome, go for it. If you determine your business wants to generate 50,000, cool, go for it. So long as it's in alignment with your personal goals, like, to me, the number is completely irrelevant, because the number is just a number. What we're creating is a life. And so each of us want to create different lives. And so who cares about the number? Okay. So let's move into these 7 saboteurs, and where not to invest your money, and where not to be pulled off track, and where we interfere with our ability to really build a streamlined, efficient, powerful, momentous business. Momentous. Am I making up another word? Okay. The 7 saboteurs. The first one is, you guys are all going to connect to this one because you're here with me. I'm always like nervous about putting this one out there. I'm like, but keep consuming my content because it's good. No, over consuming irrelevant content. So here's the thing about content is that I'm going to answer your question at the end here. And it's the number one thing that drives your business and the number one place to focus. Because once you figure this piece out, the rest can fall into place. And it's the number one place that the majority of coaches, almost every coach I talk to, does not spend their time thinking about. They spend it on all the other things that are completely irrelevant until this piece is figured out. So over consuming information. So here's the thing. The number one thing that drives your entire business, everything that I shared with you up to this point, that if you don't get this piece figured out, all of the rest is 1,000% irrelevant and pointless. And you can spend hours and hours learning about all the other stuff, but without this, it doesn't get you anywhere. It's traffic. If you don't have a way to consistently get eyes on your business, it doesn't matter how much you figure out for your pricing, how much you figure out for your signature program, how much you figure out for your lead magnets, how many things you create, how many courses you create, how to do sales. The first thing that opens the doors for your business and everything that follows it is the traffic. Where are people seeing you? And I've done other trainings on this, and again, I'm just going to throw it out there. I created an automated funnel because it's measurable and the traffic is unlimited. And the targeting of who I can put a message in from it is crystal clear. So it's not like throwing spaghetti at the wall. Now, so traffic, the 4 primary traffic sources, again, if you chose to focus on one path, one marketing path, because not everybody's going to be drawn to online marketing, and I totally get it. It's a ton of tech. It's going to stretch your wealth consciousness further than it's probably ever been stretched. It's not for everybody. It's just my preferred choice because it's the most measurable and it allows me to keep feeling the most consistency, sustainability, and freedom in my business because it's automated too. Doesn't take as much time on the back end. So the 4 traffic sources: offline, networking, and speaking. You guys have probably heard me teach on this before. Speaking meets a little bit more because you show up deeper as an authority. So there's also an authority scale that determines how effective the traffic is. So whenever we're teaching, whenever we're showing up as a credible source of information and an authority, it shortens that short tail marketing funnel. So the more we can show up authoritatively, the shorter that short tail is. So there's like a short tail and then there's a shorter tail. And authority is what determines the short tail versus the shorter tail. So to me, when you think about where you want to focus on traffic, what's going to set you up, one, to stand in the highest authority and credibility and know and trust factor, And two, what do you need to learn to become a master of that path? So if it's networking, which is a little less authority, then you want to pour all of your learning into how to become the most effective networker on the planet. Step into mastery of building relationships belly to belly, face to face, and messaging, and translating that messaging into conversations and networking. Most coaches think, oh, I'm going to show up and say my elevator pitch and it's going to land all these sales conversations. It's not. It's a longer process. It's all about building relationships. So networking, highly effective. That's a fantastic traffic source. You have full control in your business about how many networking events you attend every single week. The more you attend, the more relationships you're building, the more sales calls you're generating. Speaking, now you're in a higher authoritative space where you can make a call to action at the end of your speech, workshop, whatever you're creating, whether it's on other people's stages or your own. And now you can make that offer one-to-many, and more people will respond and take advantage of it. So it's a little bit of the less one-to-one relationship building. It's one-to-many relationship building as you step into the speaking piece. So there's your offline. Online, organic social media. And you're going to hear me say, even websites and SEO and all that stuff. I'm not even going to say that. Again, it's all measurable, but Facebook paid advertising has blown the cost per lead out of the water compared to Google and all the SEO stuff. So organic social media, which again, where can you be visible and how can you show up in authority? And how can you do it consistently? So maybe it's like you're consistently every single week. So this would be an example of organic social media in my long tail marketing, right? I'm consistently showing up pretty much every week. I miss a week here and there, sharing, not holding anything back. None of this is behind a gated community. Everything that I'm sharing with you is the same stuff I'm sharing with private clients. So that's the other piece about being an authority, is it's not holding back content and information. It's showcasing your expertise and your credibility. And then paid advertising, paid social media advertising, which is, again, my preferred source because it's completely controllable. I put $1 in, I pull $10 to $20 out. Every single dollar I put in pulls $10 to $20 out. But that's where I chose to invest all of my time, money, and energy to learn and step into mastery. Whatever path you choose, that's what's directing your learning. Consume the information that you need. So a lot of the stuff I'm teaching is this foundational business stuff. So you need some of this foundational business stuff, some of the mindset stuff, but consume it when you need it. Don't consume stuff for 10 steps down the road, because then by the time you get to that 10th step, you're still going to go and consume it again because you're going to forget because you consume so many other things between now and then, right? Consume the information that you actually need to step into mastery of your simplistic business model. And the number one thing that drives everything is traffic, because without traffic, without eyes and visibility, the rest of it completely irrelevant. You can have the best program on the face of this planet that changes people's lives over and over again. But if they don't see it or know about it, you can have the perfect videos, the perfect worksheets, the perfect website, the perfect everything. But without traffic, it's just perfectly by itself. Aria, offline opportunities in addition to speaking, networking. So networking and speaking and strategic partnerships also, if you already can establish, if you can build off of. So Karen Preston actually does phenomenal with strategic partnerships. And it's like building off of relationships you already have and aligning with them because they have so strategic partnership is like somebody has the know, like, trust, and credibility within a wide audience. And as you align with them, you adopt that same know and trust that the person that is already connected to the audience has. So it's creating some strategic win partnerships. That could be another powerful way to really ramp up your visibility. So that's exactly what I did actually when I first launched my business. Is I aligned with a nonprofit who was serving at-risk youth, who already had credibility with funders who were funding their youth programs. When I aligned with them, they trusted the organization, and therefore, because the organization trusted me, they trusted the program that I was presenting, and that's what secured that $250,000 to serve a bunch of kids. Exactly, Louisa. Yeah, build it and they will come. No, it's not true. It is not true. We need a traffic strategy. This is the number one thing that drives our entire business. So if you're wondering where to start with traffic, here's Karen Preston. I was just tooting the horn for her and how phenomenal she is at strategic partnerships in her business. So I wanted to highlight you. Okay, that's the first saboteur. The second saboteur is being bored. Now, I'm guessing many of you are probably like me. You're creative. You love creating new things. It's fun to create. You get in a place of flow. It's exciting. It's just like you want to create and create. And the reality is, for a sustainable and consistent business, you've got to get used to the rinse and repeat. Success leaves clues. What's working will work again. Rinse and repeat. Scale what's working, rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat. That can get boring. It can get boring. So what I just actually discovered, because this was my MO, I would get bored with something and I'd throw it out and start something brand new, and I'd build a whole brand new funnel, and then I'd get bored with that and throw that out and build a whole brand new, like I would throw the baby out with the bathwater every single time. I reinvented my business so many times because of this saboteur. And it was like, because I would get bored, and feeling bored is a real thing. It's just in the last probably 6 months that I'm like, how can I have both, the both and have the rinse and repeat, sustainability and consistency, and also still be tapped into creativity. And so that's where this group was born. Is this allows me to be creative every single week. There's no structure. I don't have a content plan. There's no plan. I'm going to teach this in this order. Again, that would be another like over consuming content. Like I need to have a content planner. Why? What do you feel called to share? Write it, do it from inspired action instead of forced action. So this is what allows me to have the creativity, which feeds that piece of myself so I don't get bored. And then I can continue to rinse and repeat the things that are working and generating the revenue in a measurable way. So that's the second saboteur. Oops, I missed it. Boredom. Second saboteur, boredom. The third saboteur, squirrel syndrome, which could be related to boredom. This is the bright, shiny object syndrome, right? Oh, I could do this and I could do that. And oh my goodness, this is so my world. Oh, bots, those are so cool. Oh, this, oh, that. But unless I can see the thread of how the new thing ties into my existing thing, as much as it intrigues me, it has to be a no. So for you guys, that 5-day challenge I did a few months back, oh my goodness, that was totally a squirrel thing. I don't do 5-day challenges. It created so much work for me, like creating all these worksheets and scheduling all these posts. But I was talking to somebody and they're like, 5-day challenges are amazing. They super engage your group and it's super helpful and it's fun and they get prizes. And I was like, ooh, that sounds awesome. I'm going to do a 5-day challenge. It was great, but it added so much extra work and time at that time where I was like, it didn't tie into everything that I was already doing. There wasn't a thread that actually made it easy. It was like something totally separate that I did. So squirrel syndrome. So how do you break through squirrel syndrome? Decide, commit, and act. This is a P90X, right? Decide, make the decision, the direction you're going, commit to it, step into mastery of it, and take the action. Yes, Trina. Oh, online programs. Whew, I just know, don't even buy them because I don't finish them. I don't even hardly start them. Most of the time, I don't even start them. Okay, the fourth saboteur and where not to get, okay, this is where it's going to get real here for a minute. And we started already talking about wealth consciousness. Fear and upper limits. So here's the thing. This is where I've already mentioned this. Most of these upper limits are happening for people around money, the wealth consciousness piece. And it's scary. It's scary to think about worst case scenario. It's scary to think that you might not be able to provide for your family, or that you don't know how to pay your grocery bill, or that the credit card debt is piling up. It's scary. And that, I would say, is probably the number one thing that stops coaches from growing their businesses. It takes massive amounts of trust, patience, as Ashley was saying, to be able to really do what it takes to grow this business. And most coaches piecemeal. They take a little piece over here and a little piece over there, and they try to reverse engineer things and try to pull them together in their business, and then they wonder why they don't work. But when you piecemeal, and here's the other thing too, I just want to share. When you piecemeal information, what you're actually doing, all that content that you guys are consuming, just to let you know, this was just, my coach just said this, and I was like, that is so brilliant and it is so true. All the content that you're consuming to try and learn how to build your business are those people's marketing materials. And I'm not saying that they're withholding content and information, but you can't see all the stuff that's going on behind the scenes. Those are marketing materials. So you're getting the pieces that are, yes, inspirational, but there's so much happening behind the scenes that you never really can take a look at or get. And so when it feels like I've got all this stuff, but I'm still missing pieces, it's like, what's interfering with finding the support or the mentor who's walked the path and can just show you or teach you? And to me, that was the scariest thing, the scariest stuff I ever did. And again, so I've invested in the last 4 years over $100,000 in coaches, mentors, programs, and some of them were investments that were made from a place of fear. And many of them were investments that logically made no sense for me to make. No sense. The money wasn't there, but my higher self was calling me to it. And every single investment that I made, again, like $100,000. Now I have the knowledge in my brain to create multiple 5-figure months, and this knowledge can never leave my head. The money can come and go. But if I lost everything today, the knowledge that I've gained is with me forever. I can rebuild anything at any point, no matter what happens, in any way I choose. So it's so many people are terrified to make, and it was terrifying for me. This is what caused sleepless nights for me. This is where my biggest kind of fears came from, that I was jeopardizing my husband for a long time, thinking he would want to leave me. It was like, this is the stuff, right? This is the stuff that I went through in that moment. But I still knew, not always, that it was temporary. I still knew the bigger vision was coming and would happen. And we always say hindsight's 20/20, but we have to have the hindsight when we're in the middle of it. So now I can look back and say, oh my gosh, I have all this knowledge and this like wealth of knowledge. I could never take it. It can never be taken away from me. I might lose money. I might fall and get back up. But this knowledge can never ever be taken away from me. And so this hindsight's 20/20, what it really boils down to is, how do you have the sight now about what's being created and how temporary this is, as opposed to having to wait to see it looking back? And that's the deepest level of trust in level 5 energy is, again, and you guys have heard me say this before, it's not I'll believe it when I see it, it's I'll see it when I believe it. And so in those deepest, darkest moments where you're questioning things, or when you're afraid, but your heart is telling you to do something, but your head is telling you not to, or whatever it may be, it's in those deepest, darkest moments that we have to remember what we're actually creating and where we're actually going, instead of what our current reality is. And this is the thing too, where people don't share this. When you see people doing 7-figure launches, this is the truth. When you see somebody celebrating, I did a 7-figure launch. Actually, I'm just going to share this because this came up in our mastermind this last week with really high-level entrepreneurs and coaches and consultants. They were attending an event with most of the stuff that you guys are consuming, just letting you know. And there's no judgment here, but I just want to be transparent. This industry needs transparency. And I want to bring it to you so that you don't have to feel the same shame, like when you take on debts or when you make investments that feel silly or whatever they may be. It's a part of business. But at this event, there were over 100 of like basically all 7-figure earners, the highest end coaches in our industry you see their stuff over and over and over again. And they started talking about wanting to be more transparent about what's really happening with their launches. And they're all like, yeah, let's tell what's really happening, what's really going on. Because here's the thing, that 7-figure launch, here's the truth. That 7-figure launch that you're saying, I made 7 figures and I did this. Do you want to know how much they're really drawing in? Like 100,000, because there's a massive refund rate. So like they lose 20% of that 7 figures in refunds. They're paying out affiliates 50%. So the majority of that revenue is coming from affiliates. So 50% of it is being paid out for affiliates. And then they've got all their Facebook ads, which usually run for a big launch, somewhere around 100,000. And by the time they add it all up with all the work and all the stress, that 7-figure launch is really more like maybe low 6 figures, maybe even less. But coaches don't share that. They don't share the truth. So then everybody's like, oh, I want to do a launch. And then when their launch comes back, they're like, what did I do wrong? Nothing. This is the transparency that's missing in this industry right now. Okay. So again, I don't want to be like bashing the industry, but I am on a mission to bring transparency out, because I believe that lack of transparency is exactly why so many coaches throw in the towel, and they've got amazing gifts to share with the world. And because they think that they're not doing things or not figuring things out. But the reality is most of the other people that you're seeing don't have it figured out either. Even me, I'm not saying I have it figured out. Look, I'm telling you, I took on $100,000 in credit card debt to fund this dream. And then it just clicked. And then it was temporary. It was like whoosh. $200,000 in revenues in the last 5 months. Boom, wipe that out. Just like that. Boom, done. So it's temporary, but in the middle of it, it doesn't feel like it. Trina, awesome. Yes. And the biggest thing here that I'm hearing from you is it was a big investment. It felt scary, but it felt right. Exactly. It felt right. That's the key piece, that you're following what feels right. Yeah. So those of you that are IPEC coaches, we teach you, don't believe everything you hear, right? Don't believe everything, and don't even believe what I'm telling you. Run it through your own filter. Your intuition will tell you what's bullshit and what's not. And so run it through your own filter and know that's where the truth is, not in what you're seeing or reading or even hearing. Run it through your own filter. Hey, David, thanks for all your contribution to this group. This is the truth. The fear of spending the money on the right thing is something I've struggled with. Yeah. So again, Jessica, it's what's the step that's right in front of you? What do you want to learn? What's the knowledge that you need to be able to take that next step in your business, and then focus your revenues, your time, your money on that? Okay. The next saboteur, unmeasurable time suckers. So this kind of ties back into over-consuming content, but it's also doing things in your business that aren't measurable. So back to this kind of, I don't like to do anything that I can't actually measure its effectiveness. So if somebody's, do you want to sponsor this event? It's how can we track and measure the effectiveness of the investment that I'm making to sponsor the event? You want to put this ad in the newspaper? Do you want to donate something for this fundraiser? Do you want to guest blog? Do you want to guest podcast? Do you want to join the summit? Do you want to, it's for me, it's always like, how measurable is it? And if I can't see how to measure it, then I feel like I'm throwing spaghetti at the wall. And then it feels like I'm investing time in something that I can't really tell or know if it's doing anything for my business, right? So that's the unmeasurable time suckers. So you're going to see opportunities everywhere. And it's really being discerning. If it's not a hell yes, it's a no. If it's not a hell yes in every bone in your body, it's a no. And because if it's not, it's like keeping the space open for the things that are hell yeses. That's part of this kind of, again, simplicity business model. And the sixth saboteur, weak boundaries. So again, this ties right into, you don't owe anybody anything. You don't owe anybody anything. If they feel bad because you're saying no, it's not your responsibility to make them feel better. If your clients want you to do the work for them, it's like you can choose. Do you want to do the work or don't you want to do the work? So weak boundaries, and this is something I'm still working on because I freaking love helping as much as I possibly can. But at some point we help so much that it becomes enabling instead of empowering. And so setting those strong boundaries is a way that you can streamline so much of your business. And I get this a lot. People are like, can I just ask you a quick question, or can I pick your brain? And that's why else I have this group, is if people reach out to me and ask me those questions, I'll say, why don't you go ahead and ask that question in the group so everybody can benefit from the learning, as opposed to me spending time answering onesie-twosie questions all the time. So this is the boundaries piece that this is probably the biggest opportunity still in my business that I'm still working on, because I still like to be useful and like to be of service and like to be liked, and all of those little twiggly danglers, as Monica Martin would say, are still back there. So this is a big one, and it's a muscle that we just keep growing and growing. I'm way better than I used to be. There's still a ton of opportunity for improvement on my end. And I would guess that this is probably a big one for a lot of you guys too, because you care so much. You just care. You care about people and you care about how they feel, and you don't want to make people feel bad. Okay, the final thing, which I think is a no-brainer with everything we're talking about, doing it alone. Doing it alone is so time consuming. And I tried to do it alone for a long time. I'm like, I'm smart. I can figure this stuff out. I'm tech savvy. I can do it. And I figured a lot of pieces out, but so this is a perfect example. I taught myself Facebook ads. This was the thing I was stepping into mastery for. I taught myself Facebook ads, and I was able to get it to a certain place, but I didn't know how to take it to the next level. I didn't know how to reduce the cost per lead just by a little bit. And I took one hour class. It was $600. I'm like, $600 for 1 hour being on a call with 100 other people? Seriously, this guy, like 100 other people, $600. So this guy made whatever, $60,000 off of a 1 hour class. But he's genius. Like, he's a freaking genius when it comes to Facebook ads. And so I took this one class. I got one tip in 1 minute of that 60-minute class that cut my advertising costs in half. So if I was investing $3,000 to get 100 leads, now I'm investing $3,000 and I'm getting 200 leads, which means I'm getting twice as many sales conversations. Like, seriously, the return on that investment was astronomical, because it was one little tweak, one little hint that I had no clue like even existed. And I never would have gotten it had I not made that investment. I couldn't do that alone. I couldn't learn that unless I wanted to watch hours and hours and hours and hours of Facebook ads trainings on YouTube to find the one piece of information that I was looking for. Right. So this is the piece of don't do it alone. Cut your learning curve in half. Same thing. My current mentor, who I've invested a lot of money with, the very first session we had, I was so clear. I'm like, I feel like I have all these pieces in place, but I'm missing one piece. He's, oh yeah, you're missing this piece. As soon as you put this piece in place, you're basically getting leads for free and you're good to go. And I implemented exactly what he taught me. And again, that was when I scaled my Facebook ads to $16,000 a month because I was just missing one piece. And I was like, oh, now I scaled my Facebook ads to $16,000 a month and I'm pulling thousands of leads every single month. And I'm weeding them out. So only the ones that are really ready to step into the higher price it was just like this beautiful missing piece that in an instant has now given me a return on my investment times 10, times 20, times 50, times it's still growing because I'm still using the strategies that I learned. Okay, Jessica, how'd you do that? Where should we go for a Facebook ads class? Oh, there's so many out there. And again, you have to determine your own learning style too, because do you want to just watch it and then replicate it? Or would you like somebody to actually walk you through it and give you it's like when you take a class, it's only this kind of this stuff that then you try to attach to your business or the stuff that you try to model for your business or shift to your business to match your business. But if you were to hire somebody and just say, hey, I'd like you to mentor me for a couple $1,000s to show me and teach me how to build this out for what I'm actually building it out for. To me, it's wow, you could invest in the class and then have to figure out all the pieces on exactly how it pertains to your business and how to adapt it and shift it and change it so that it makes sense for you. Or you could hire somebody and just be like, tell me who to target, and they already have all the answers, right? There's the choices that we're faced with. Okay, so those are the saboteurs. Not getting help, not getting mentorship. Wealth is knowledge, right? Knowledge is wealth. Because once you have the knowledge and once you have the learning and once you have that time that it frees up, it's boom, you're good to go. So where to start, right? So let me just check in with you guys. Okay, what about this? What's your biggest takeaway? Even if it's just one word. So I want to support you in anchoring this in so that you don't feel like you're like, because there was a lot of information. So what's your biggest takeaway from today's training, and how is it going to direct your next step, your focus in your business? I know it's quite an open-ended question that I'm asking you. And even if you don't answer in the comments, I hope that you consider it for yourself about your takeaway and how it ties to your next steps and where you're going to focus your attention. You guys will feel so free when you aren't trying to catch every single webinar and every single training. And that's also why I'm like this, the next trainings I do might not even be, nobody will be here live, but yeah, that's what else too. I've got something else in this group where I talk about how you can speed up videos so you can watch videos in half the time so you can get the knowledge in half the time. It's probably why I talk so fast, because I watch everything in chipmunk mode. So that's another little tip for you. All right, everybody, thank you so much for tuning in to today's training and playing along with me as I revealed some deeper transparency in the coaching industry while also sharing how you can streamline and start to step into deeper simplicity, not having to sacrifice revenue goals and time freedom and all of those other things. I hope that you're feeling inspired to create a business 1,000% on your terms, that's simple, that aligns with your values, that honors who you are and what you want to create in your life. And yeah, love you guys to pieces. Thanks for being here. That's it for today. See you later. Bye.